Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss how Kemi Badenoch managed to mangle yet another PMQs. I don't know who to feel worse for. Badenoch, because when even Keir Starmer is ridiculing you, you know you've messed up. Well, Starmer himself, because he could have completely destroyed her. But anyway, opportunities were taken still, although opportunities were missed as well. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button so you stay notified. So, I mean, there's lots of reasons why I don't comment on PMQs every week anymore. In reality, I'd always planned to only discuss it when there was something remarkable about it. But one big reason putting me off is that Badenoch is just so awful. Like, you wouldn't expect any barnstorming performances from any Conservative leader right now. They just got battered in the election. They're having to rebuild. The new government haven't yet had time for their budget and legislation to be tested. So it's very difficult to attack them. You know, so it's slim pickings for any leader of the opposition, but Badenoch's performances have been woeful. And every single week hasn't been a solid performance. People said last week's was her best, but she got caught out demanding a change to legislation that Labour had already made. And that was her best. Interestingly, she tried to get out that she recognised she messed up. And she tried to cover it up again. Oh, no, that thing you said you did, you didn't really do it, did you? And it's like, yeah, you did. But today may actually have been her worst, like a dubious accolade up against very stiff competition. Let's be honest, Keir Starmer, like, he was the country's top prosecutor. It was really interesting seeing him become leader of the opposition, because like, okay, let's see him bring his courtroom skills to the dispatch box. You know, he's no stranger to laying traps in verbal sparring, but the courtroom does not welcome cheap political points. So Starmer, very straight-laced, not very experienced at scoring these political points, right? So when he does land some, you know you've messed up. Badenoch started very badly before she even stood up. So there's always a question from a backbencher before the main proceedings, and it was a Labour backbencher, and he asked the first question about means testing of the state pension. And he asked the Prime Minister to assure the House that his government would not be means testing the state pension. Now, this is a question obviously planted by the whips, but it allowed Starmer to attack Badenoch, who is planning on means testing the state pension, before she'd even opened her mouth. And you know, it got no better when she did stand up. I'm not going to go over everything because it's pointless. She's got no policies. She won't be writing her party's manifesto at the next election, so it makes no difference whether she has policies in 2 years' time or not. It's pretty clear now she's a seat filler. You know, after the election, there was this debate amongst Conservatives about, you know, whether Rishi Sunak should just leave and they get an interim leader until the leadership contest's over, or whether he should stay on. He agreed to stay on. They sort of wanted him to stay on. So that's what happened. And it's like, I'm thinking now, they sort of got both, didn't they? So Sunak did stay on until the end of the Conservative leadership contest. But they still ended up with an interim leader, because that's what Badenoch is at this point. You know, she said about halfway through that the only policies Labour had were thought up by the Tories. I mean, unfortunately, Starmer sort of addressed the general question. She was talking about Employment Rights Bill, and he insisted that it was good for workers and good for growth. He also had a dig about the Tories being opposed to the Heathrow runway plans, when they will certainly help towards growth. All the arguments against it are environmental, not economic. But I would have had some fun with her at that point. As soon as she says, oh, you know, all Labour's policies are basically thought up by the Tories, I'd have gone, oh, the Right Honourable Lady thinks that all our policies are actually their policies. Oh, well, in that case, I assume we can count on their full support as the legislation needed to implement them passes through Parliament. I mean, you know, there's the odd one, sure, where she might have a point. It was the leader of the opposition herself, remember, Kemi Badenoch, who first proposed means testing the winter fuel allowance. But with that one line, Badenoch could have been made to look utterly ridiculous. If every Labour policy comes from the Tories, which is what she explicitly said, why is she arguing against them? Still, although Starmer didn't take that opportunity, he did take the following one. Next question. She said that the Employment Rights Bill, you know, someone could start a job in the morning and go to tribunal in the afternoon. This is because of some day one rights that are coming online, but it's still ridiculous. Of course it is. She said Starmer is a lawyer, not a leader. Too easy. Starmer responded by saying, look, you obviously can't go to work in the morning and into tribunal in the afternoon. That Badenoch is not a lawyer or a leader, but she is in danger of becoming a lettuce, he said. and bringing Liz Truss in at the same time as sitting Badenoch down. I approve. He should do that more. Badenoch then claimed that the Employment Rights Bill only benefited trade union. And it's like, you think, okay. Obviously, the primary job of unions is to fight for better workers' rights, yeah? The more they are improved, however, arguably, the less likely people are to join a union. Why do you join a union? Because you want to protect your rights. You want better rights. You want to be part of a large movement that will fight for your rights. Well, if those rights are enshrined in law, is there really as much of a reason to be join a union, by the way, still join it, because workers' rights are not as good as they should be. But the more you strengthen them, the less need there is for a union because they've done some of their work. So that doesn't make sense. But Starmer was able to point out that the CBI were in favour of them as well. And indeed, although obviously business groups have tried to water down some of the measures, and equally obviously unions have tried to beef them up further, both unions and business groups support the measures. They support this bill. You know, they've both been involved in the formation of the bill. They're both broadly satisfied. But then Badenoch decided to finish off by attacking Starmer's approach to growth one last time by praising in contrast Trump and Millet. And I thought, what? Now, obviously, you know, I'm not going to say Starmer missed an opportunity here. He clearly can't attack the economic records of either Trump or Millet. That wouldn't be helpful for diplomacy, right? But bloody hell, Trump famously destroyed jobs during his first term and has already begun doing so in his second, setting his sights on a 10% reduction at least in the civil service. Austerity on steroids is what's coming by the looks of it. But Millet has crushed living standards as well. It's like, yeah, you can look at the macro picture. The economy was, by the way, completely clapped out when he took over. You wouldn't expect anyone to have reversed it after this amount of time. It's only been in place for just over a year. But, you know, inflation in Argentina has fallen, but that coincided with a fall internationally. Public transport prices, however, are 10 times higher. Labour are getting shit for letting the bus fare cap go up a bit, though still has to be in line with inflation. Try a 900% increase in the cost of using the bus. But this is considered sound economic management for the Tories. Well, inflation is lower, which everyone agrees is a good thing. Rich people are becoming richer, which they agree is a good thing. It's only poor people who are unable to afford things like, you know, the bus to work. They can walk. Obviously, Starmer won't point these things out. You don't attack foreign leaders unless you're literally at war with them. So he contented himself by saying Badenoch had some nerve because the Tories destroyed the economy. And the thing is, though, although I feel Starmer should contradict Badenoch whenever she tries to say, which she did today, the Tories left the fastest growing economy in the G7. Didn't. It was the second worst across the last parliament. You don't just get to pick 1 month when it happened to be good for you. No, we work on a parliament by parliament basis. Over the last parliament, we were the second worst economy in the G7. Really that simple. You know, and the public know that. They don't know that we were the second worst. They know it was bad. They know the Tories trashed the economy. It was evident. I don't know how Tories expect to be able to gaslight the public to this extent. How do they expect to win back the public by calling them too stupid to realise how great things were? Things aren't great. And although you expect the Tories to attack any improvement in workers' rights, and a huge piece of legislation like the Employment Rights Bill is like a red rag to a bull for them, don't they realise that most of the voters they lost are of working age? I'll be honest, when you've just experienced the biggest pounding in the history of your political party, that in its current form is 200 years old, and is actually much older really, I don't think your first step to rebuilding is to alienate what's left of your supporters. Because although Badenoch refuses to set out detailed policies, she has expressed a few vague ones. She wants to weaken the triple lock pension, more especially for better off pensioners. They're the ones who mostly vote Conservative. She wants to reverse the workers' rights, which Labour are currently legislating for. Most people of working age are workers, not business owners. But then she also opposes entry into the Pan-European Mediterranean Convention, which would help businesses, small and large. She praises a foreign president who made the cost of basic public services increase by 900%. I'll be honest, I'm not sure she's the strategic genius she thinks she is. Frankly, I think she did more damage to herself today than Starmer did. But I approve of the reference to the lettuce. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.